greatest show on earth.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Con Culture Convo. I'm your guest, Tim Hyde. As you can see, I'm by myself. The reason why I'm by myself is I'm currently in the process of moving. I've been crazy busy, and Chris has been crazy busy, obviously with his normal business art-wise, his vlog, very, very busy with a lot of stuff he's doing, and of course, our Retro Weeks Expo that we are putting on in November. I would definitely recommend if you are into anything fast food related, history, art, whatever it may be, jump on board and come out. Columbus, Ohio in November. Come check it out. RetroWeeksExpo.com. Think Comic Con meets without the food, but everything else. But yeah, I wanted to jump on and do a little solo convo because I got a lovely notification today from one of my purchases I made, which I'm going to go on right now. It's the very much a dirty word, in my humble opinion, about what's happening right now, which is tariffs. In our industry, tariffs are going to destroy a lot of businesses, unfortunately. Whether they go out of business or not is kind of irrelevant. It's just going to only negative impact us. As I record this on Monday, May 5th. May the force be with all of my friends here. Revenge of the 5th here. So I just got a bill. Okay. Pulling up my computer here. So this bill, I had made a purchase for my Pop Cathedral brand of $27.80. Okay. So $27,800 from a warehouse in China that I work with. It's actually a friend of mine I went to high school with that immigrated back to China and took over his parents' warehouse. And he sent me some samples. I really loved it. And so I've been using them. Well, he sent me a lovely message and said, "Hey, bud, just want to let you know tariffs are going to kick in. So let's get an order in." So I got 2 orders in. First one got through. No big deal. Second one, on the other hand, just got it last week. It was $2,781. And he just messaged me saying, "Hey, unfortunately, a tariff bill came in." So that tariff bill was $3,285. I think it worked out to 120 something percent. So not total, guys. This is not for a couple $600-700 tariff bill. This was literally double what I already paid the $27.81, and now I owed $3,242. Okay, so making that a total of basically around $5,200 for a $2,700 order, guys. And so when people say that's not impacting small businesses, that's double the cost for something. And it's not one of those things that I can just genuinely pass on to my consumers, to the people who are purchasing this product. We have to absorb that cost entirely. I know Chris is probably going to run into this issue with his, him selling aluminum metal. A lot of the times these metal guys, it says made in the USA, which it is technically correct. But a lot of them get the lower tiered steel and aluminum products from China. Then they bring them here and they melt them down and make them into other stuff or shape, whatever they do, to make them into the products that they use. So technically they are made in America, but a lot of the products that they're using and even the items that they're building it with are made in China or overseas somewhere, Mexico, Canada, forever. I know, for example, a lot of the printer ink that your printers use for your prints, your 11x17 prints, all this stuff, all your art guys out there that follow the podcast, your prices are going to go up. Unfortunately, the ink most of the time are from Canada. The lumber that they use to then again make the prints, a lot of it is from Brazil. If you look on the back, a lot of it's Brazil, Canada, a little Mexico, and some other places in South America, and then of course America as well. But the ink is from Canada. You start piling on the cost. We don't know what the tariffs are. They change almost daily. There's no rhyme or reason to how any of it works. It's just tariff here, tariff that, this, that, blah, blah, blah. All it is just going to add cost. And I can tell you right now, I'm calling it as we speak. We're going to have a situation in which the 100% tariff on China is going to go away. And it's going to get cut down to, let's say, 20%, right? Unfortunately, all these people who are going to be charging us extra 100%, corporations, medium-sized businesses, your printer, your whoever, when they get cut, if you don't have a great relationship with them, I think we're all going to get screwed. Where it's going to go from 100% right now. So let's say that, just for easy numbers, $1,000 order on 100% is now 2,000. Well, 3 months from now, and they peel it back, and they made the current administration makes a great deal with China, and they win, blah blah blah, and it reels back to 20%. Your new order should be 1,200, right? Not 2,000. Now it's going to get peeled back to a point where now it's going to be 1,500. But look, guys, we saved you over 50% of what it was. And you're going to be used to it and be like, oh, good. Phew, I'm down to closer to where I was at. Now it's at 1,500 instead of the 2,000. But literally 3 months ago, it was at 1,000. And before that, a couple years before, it was pre-COVID, it was 400, 500, 600. And so that's how it just keeps getting up. And it's a way for them to make money off of our backs. If you are listening to this, I do have 2 business degrees. And one of my focus was in economics. And I can tell you, I do know what I'm talking about when it comes to economics. And all of us pay the tariffs, the end users. Everybody in this industry who's watching this video right now, we're paying the tariffs, period. And then typically we're paying a little extra on top of it because somebody's got to fill all the tariff forms. Someone's got to do all the things. There's a lot of agents and stuff that we don't know about. And when it comes to importing and exporting, there's a lot of steps. It's not just, hey, here's a tariff bill. Boom, 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 you're done. No, you have agents that handle all this stuff. So the company that you're using has to pay them to do this, to do that. And suddenly you've had maybe 2 to 3 middlemen involved in a process of importing something into like 4 or 5. And that just means paying another person, which who's going to pay for it? Us. And we can't always pass that on to the end user, guys. Like, if your prints are at $20 and your go up, if your prints go up from, let's say, we'll just say $1, right? Your 11 by 17 print you're getting for $1 somewhere. Now it goes up to $1.50 or $2. Yeah, you can still sell it for 20, and you're making good money, right? But all the other costs, hotel prices keep increasing, food prices keep increasing, the booth prices keep increasing at every show. Suddenly, that show 3 years ago was $1,200 in cost, and you're doing $3,200 in sales, and you're making $2,000 profit. Great. Now that same 3,200 in sales that you did, let's just say you matched it. You had a fantastic show, and you matched that exact number, right? Is now that it wasn't $1,200 now. Now it's probably $1,800, maybe $2,000. So yeah, you made a $1,200 profit. Which, okay, great. You're going forward. You have a small little good show, but that's the same money just taken out of your pocket and given to somebody else. The consumer doesn't benefit from it. We don't benefit from it. It's literally just being taxed extra on something. And I pay enough taxes as it is currently. I don't really want to pay more. I don't know how tariffs are going to help any of us. The factory situation, that's always the conversation. We'll make it here. We'll make it in America. That's great. Everybody here wants more better paying, high quality jobs in America, right? We all agree on that. 100%. Nobody disagrees on that. The problem is it's not going to happen. And if it does, it's going to take 5, 10 years, and which we're going to be paying a ton. And then guess what? When the market comes down, because it's another economic thing that people aren't talking about. Let's just say we'll go back to the paper prints thing for all of our art friends, right? That same dollar that's going to cost us now $2, right? That we discussed earlier. Well, what if the tariff goes away and they go down to $1.50, right? Well, They say they make everything in the US now. Well, it suddenly doesn't create this extra competition that everybody thinks it does. There's still more competition in theory, but when the prices are above, when the China importing them from China, Canada, Mexico, whatever, let's just say, is that $2 point. Do you really think the US company is going to go to a dollar? Of course not. They're going to slide right in. Instead of $2, it's going to slide in at $1.75, $1.80, $1.90 to just make up that tariff difference because they want to make more money. It's called capitalism, and unfortunately for us, it's going to screw us on this. Unfortunately, it's going to screw us on this situation. So now the norm has been raised, guys. So it's not like it's just suddenly the U.S. companies are going to, oh, we're going to do it out of the kindness of our hearts and go back to our 2021, 2023, 2024, 2025 numbers. They're going up too. They're just going to slide right under there. And then if the tariffs get released, maybe they'll come down a little below that. And then like you'll have a little bit of movement, but it's not going back down here to where it was even 2 months ago, guys, 2024, right? And so you have that going against a economy that's clearly not on the rise. Just strictly talking about data, I mean, I think everybody in the industry knows that the sales have declined for most people. Some a little, some a lot, or even just kind of even. They're not going up at a big pace. I'll put it that way. And I'll put it this way: they're not putting at the same rate that the costs are going up, right? If they were, we wouldn't really care as much because we know we're making that same profit markup. We're bringing home those margins, we're bringing home the money into our pocket, and it's still feeling good. But when you have prices going up, sales going down, that's a really bad angle to be on a chart. I mean, you don't want to be in that. You want the arrows going, cost going down, sales going up. That's all the metrics that we want and care about. So even if you're trying to cut costs to make up for tariffs and things like that, where are you going to do that? I mean, it sounds so simple: cut costs, make more money. Great. Where's that money come from? Hotel prices are going up. So yeah, you can split hotel rooms, but dude, I'm almost 40. I don't want to split hotels with anybody. Chris and I, obviously, we're best friends. And I think we've stayed together twice in the last 4 years. Neither one of us want to stay at hotels. I don't want to stay at hotels with anybody else. It's just, okay. So even if you did it, save it 150, $200 for a weekend, that's not going to make or break a show. It's the crazy booth prices of a lot of these shows, the food prices everywhere going up. I mean, you go to even just to get fast food, if you're not trying to pay for food, or even if you bring food, you're still spending 10, $15 a meal at fast food places now, it seems like. And then if you bring your own food, I don't want to make food after working 8, get at a con 8 a.m. on a Friday, set up and shutting up, get everything ready to go, and the show ends at 7, 8 o'clock. You just had a 12-hour work day. I don't want to go and cook something in my hotel room for an hour. I want to eat something really quick, take a shower, and go to bed, right? But even if you did, it's cutting $40 to $50 in a weekend, more than likely. And suddenly, even if you shared a hotel room and only ate food you brought, or ate fast food and ate very as cheap as possible, we're talking about a $250 savings at most for a show. That's not going to make or break a show. If you went from making $1,400 profit to $1,700, it's not, that all be all, so to speak. Now, if you go from 1,700 to 2,700 profit, let's figure that out. I love that math. But I don't see any items like that. If you disagree and you have some great tips on that, on random savings, send them in the comments, message us, whatever. I'd love to hear. I'm never against any of that, but I've been in the industry for, God, almost 15 years. And I've never found something that saved us drastically $500-$600 a show. And unfortunately, the costs are going up, and they're going to go up for convention owners as well. Obviously, I own Anime Town. I've gotten about 10% increase so far on stuff, and I just can't eat 20 grand extra on the show or whatever. I have to pass on to the vendors as well, which really sucks because I know it sucks for them too. But I'm literally trying to match it exactly where it is. But you match up everything, and it's just nonstop cost going up. And then when you add a tariff on top of that, it's not going to help. And going back to that, it's one of those hey, we're going to make it here. Okay, we're doing that, right? Like we discussed earlier. But the problem is that takes years to do. So what are we going to do in the next 4 years? Do you think you're going to build a big new processing warehouse to make blah, 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 art prints cheaper, that they're going to somehow open this new lumber factory to get all this stuff from the US and get more trees and cut this and cut that? I mean, 100,000 square foot warehouse to do all this in, Montana and one in Texas and one in Florida and wherever. I mean, you're talking 3 years at minimum to build all of that. And how many American companies are going to put up 6 million, 15 million to build a warehouse and then staff it and then build and get all these products in which they have to now pay more to get to build? Because you have a huge warehouse. I don't care what house it is. There's nothing that's fully made in it, all in America. It's just not how it works, unfortunately. And so it's one of those things where it's just going to keep going up. My recommendation for you guys is, I know the tariff stuff sucks really hard right now, but if there's something you desperately need as far as, pipe and drape and stands and kind of the business side of things, not necessarily just your product, but all the other stuff, I would buy it now. The trucking industry has already come out and say, if you don't have food, if you're not delivering food, medical supplies, or energy supplies like oil and stuff like that, there's no work at all. And so when you have a huge chunk of that population not having any work, that's a really bad sign, which means the shelves at the stores are going to start getting emptier and emptier and emptier, unfortunately, which means prices are going to go up. Demand's going to stay roughly the same or go up a little bit for these things, but the inventory is going to go down, which means prices are going to go up, and they're going to gouge us once again. And you think those prices are going to come down when the inventory comes back in? Absolutely not, because we know how that works. But yeah, so just the tariffs suck. Period. End of story. They are going to hurt us a lot more than we think. The people import toys, and I mean, I don't think of many products, unfortunately, that aren't impacted by this. I wish there wasn't, but I think our entire con industry itself is going to be drastically impacted by tariffs. And I think we're going to see 20, 50, 100% type increases on our stuff that if we pass on to the consumer, we're just going to sell less, unfortunately. Just because you're adding money to a product cost doesn't mean that your end consumer can just eat those costs as well. So it's all going to come on small businesses. And if you ask me, I think it's a personal attack on small business, from the upper echelon who's making these decisions. They're clearly not pro small business. They're clearly not pro influencer. They're not pro micro entrepreneur. They're not pro us in any way, shape, or form. It is what it is. It's the facts. They can say whatever they want, but their actions are saying otherwise. So, yeah, just another random solo convo, guys. I know you don't, Chris, fun little pop in. Mine are always way serious. Chris is more fun and outgoing, but I guess, the business side is something I always love to discuss, and I could talk about it all day, clearly. But yeah, thank you guys so much for joining the convo. Let us know what you think about the tariffs. I think you're going to agree with me that they suck. But yeah, I'm just curious to see if there's any thoughts differently than what I said. Expand on it. We'd love to hear it. And then the next episode will be Chris involved, so don't worry. We're going to be reviewing a movie. What movie it may be, what TV series it may be, who knows? Well, we're not going to tell you just yet. So tune in next week for another culture. Oh, join us next week for another episode of the Con Culture Convo, guys. Thanks.